I don't think anybody knows about this. You just went through something very, very serious, and you're going to talk about it for the first time.
Welcome to MsMojo, and today we're spotlighting 10 stars who faced breast cancer.
Darn it, I miss those gals. But then, it's closely followed by This Is About Your Life.
For this list, we'll be looking at big names who have directly confronted breast cancer. Some of these stories have sadder outcomes than others, but all of these stars are inspirations. Have you or a loved one ever faced breast cancer? Share your experiences in the comments. Shirley Temple Black. We think of Shirley Temple as a perpetual child star, but the truth is that movies like Curly Top only made up part of her life.
Could I come back and tell you in just a little while?
Why, of course. I'll wait for you right here.
After retiring from film acting at age 22, Temple went on to have a successful TV career, become a U.S. diplomat, and raise breast cancer awareness. Temple was in her mid-40s when she discovered a lump that turned out to be breast cancer.
Don't hesitate and don't be afraid. Go and take care of it, because I want to live very badly, and I always have, and I feel I've got a lot to do.
She soon underwent a life-saving mastectomy, removing her left breast. At a time when breast cancer was stigmatized, Temple invited the press into her hospital room, encouraging people not to sit home and be afraid if they found a strange lump. She further stressed that people go to a doctor immediately and get it diagnosed.
I'm a happy person. I'm optimistic, but I'm a realist.
Edie Falco. Edie Falco is known for her powerful presence on The Sopranos, but she's just as resilient behind the scenes. Falco was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2003.
It was a little bit like 9/11. It was a little bit like this election we just had, where things stop working in a way that you're familiar with.
The Emmy-winning actress had to be on set later that afternoon to shoot an intense scene with James Gandolfini, and understandably, she struggled to get through work that day.
I couldn't remember my lines, which I never have problems with. It was a real out-of-body experience. I couldn't process the news I had just gotten.
She kept her diagnosis private, only telling family and close friends, including executive producer Eileen Landris. For a year as she underwent treatment, the show scheduled shooting around Falco's chemo.
Other than that, things just sort of chugged along. And, I dealt with this on my own with my friends and my family, which is what worked for me. It doesn't work for everybody, but that was what I did.
Relieved to learn that she would survive, Falco realized that she wanted to be a mother. With a new lease on life, she was motivated to adopt her son in 2005 and her daughter 3 years later. Jane Fonda. In addition to her prolific film career, Jane Fonda is iconic for her best-selling workout videos. Even when somebody appears to be in perfect shape, cancer has its way of sneaking through. In 2010, the 72-year-old Fonda went in for a routine checkup. A small, non-invasive tumor was found in her breast.
I felt, God, I've just joined a family of millions of women who have gone through this, and how interesting, what a journey this is going to be.
After a lumpectomy, Fonda was declared 100% cancer-free. This wouldn't be the end of Fonda's cancer experience, however. Over the ensuing years, Fonda would have a cancerous growth taken out of her lower lip and underwent chemo following a non-Hodgkin's lymphoma diagnosis.
Always the political activist, Fonda says she's lucky to have insurance and access to the best doctors, adding that far too many don't, and it's not right.
Thankfully, Fonda announced in late 2022 that she was in remission with no need to continue chemo. Now in her mid-80s, Fonda continues to act and promote good health.
I'm basically a healthy person, and so that's what makes me seem younger than my actual numerical age, is because I'm healthy and I have good posture.
Cynthia Nixon. Sex and the City fans will be familiar with Samantha's breast cancer story arc. In reality, another cast member would soon face the disease.
Go back to your people. We'll talk about this later.
You are my people, and we'll talk about it now. Now start at the beginning.
Cynthia Nixon was barely a teenager when her mother was first diagnosed with breast cancer. Due to her family's history, Nixon started getting mammograms at age 35. When she was 40, Nixon learned that she had stage 1 breast cancer.
They said they wouldn't have thought anything of it. It was so small, but it wasn't there on the previous years. So in my case, starting my mammograms early because I had a family history of it might have, been really life-saving.
Undergoing a lumpectomy and radiation, Nixon kept her diagnosis private for almost 2 years. Emerging cancer-free, Nixon opened up about her experience, going on to become a Susan G. Komen for the Cure Ambassador. In 2014, Nixon's mother died after enduring breast cancer for the 3rd time. Shortly after, Nixon starred in the film James White, playing a mother with cancer.
Really sort of honing in on what the scene was and sort of being as close to the ground in terms of the reality of it.
Wanda Sykes. Dropping by the Ellen DeGeneres show in 2011, comedian Wanda Sykes made a surprising announcement.
Yeah, I had breast cancer. I know, it's scary. It is.
A while back, Sykes chose to have breast reduction surgery. This would be a life-changing decision in ways that Sykes never anticipated.
The doctors found that her left breast possessed ductal carcinoma in situ.
I was very, very lucky because DCIS is basically stage 0 cancer, right? So I was very lucky. And but cancer is cancer.
Though minor, this discovery was a potential sign of worse things to come.
Getting ahead of any further health problems, Sykes opted to have a double mastectomy, removing both of her breasts.
It sounds scary up front, but I mean, what do you want? Do you want to wait and not be as fortunate to, when it comes back?
This radically decreased Sykes' odds of ever hearing the words breast cancer from another physician. It also helped ensure that she'd be around to watch her children grow up and keep audiences smiling.
We gonna be all right.
Bette Davis.
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Like all Golden Age Hollywood stars, Bette Davis's career had its ups and downs. Yet few stars kept audiences coming back for decades as Davis did. Even when she was diagnosed with breast cancer in the early 80s, she continued to appear in film and television for several years.
Let's find another film, Betty. Let's.
Collapsing at the 1989 American Cinema Awards, Davis learned shortly after that her breast cancer had returned. Her health continued to deteriorate at the San Sebastian International Film Festival, so much so that she couldn't return to the US. Davis only made it as far as France, where she passed away at age 81. Although this marked the end of her life journey, nobody can say that Davis was anything less than a survivor.
Old age ain't no place for sissies. It's true.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus. From SNL to Seinfeld to Veep, Julia Louis-Dreyfus has been a comedy superstar for over 40 years. She showed no signs of slowing down after winning a 6th consecutive Emmy for playing Selena Meyer. The next day, however, Louis-Dreyfus received a stage 2 breast cancer diagnosis.
I am gonna throw up a leg.
The actress initially laughed when she told her husband, which was followed by tears. She didn't wait long to go public with her condition, expressing her gratitude for her friends, family, and union insurance.
The bad news is not all women are so lucky, so let's fight all cancers and make universal health care a reality.
Over the next year or so, she had a double mastectomy and 6 rounds of chemo, coming out cancer-free. Now in her 60s, Louis-Dreyfus continues to bring the laughs while also demonstrating her dramatic range.
I actually dream about that.
Christina Applegate. Christina Applegate is another comedy legend with a career spanning TV, film, and even theater. Many were caught off guard when news broke of the 36-year-old actress's breast cancer diagnosis in 2008.
The doctor I'd been getting my mammograms from just said, it's time that we start doing MRIs because of the density and, their inability to really see what was going on. And, luckily for me, he did do that because they found on the MRI the calcification.
Applegate's mother, actress Nancy Pretty, also had breast cancer at a young age. Like her mother, Applegate would survive this ordeal. While the cancer was only located in one breast, Applegate decided to have a double mastectomy.
This is my best chance of not having to deal with with breast cancer ever again for as long as I live. And that's what I just knew and had to do for myself.
Since Applegate carries the genetic BRCA1 mutation, she also had her ovaries and fallopian tubes removed after giving birth to her daughter. Applegate has remained an advocate for breast cancer awareness and research. Just as she was with cancer, Applegate has been candid about living with multiple sclerosis, which she was diagnosed with in 2021.
Different now, and it's incredibly hard. No, yeah, I don't want to be the fish in the fish tank, but, I'm going to do my best to just get through it, I suppose.
Carly Simon. This Grammy-winning singer is no stranger to cancer. Her brother Peter died from lung cancer in 2018. Thyroid cancer claimed her sister Joanna's life 4 years later. The next day, her other sister Lucy succumbed to metastatic breast cancer.
In a tribute to her trailblazing sisters, Carly Simon wrote, "They touched everyone they knew, and those of us they've left behind will be lucky and honored to carry their memories forward."
Carly Simon herself received a breast cancer diagnosis back in 1997, the same year she released her film noir album. Shockingly, the lump had been present for years, with doctors advising against operating. Finally, one doctor told Simon, "I'd rather see it in a jar than in your breast." After surgery, it was confirmed to be cancer, which thankfully hadn't spread to her lymph nodes.
It doesn't feel like an escape. It feels like something that I went through. I discovered it a little bit too late. I mean, if I hadn't discovered it as late as I did, if I'd gone on time to have a mammogram, like most intelligent women do.
Simon's double mastectomy was followed by chemo just to be safe. Almost 25 years later, the 80-year-old Simon remains cancer-free.
You're a survivor. I'm a survivor, and there's no way of knowing how strong you are until you have to, fight something. I'll drink to that.
Olivia Newton-John.
I'm going to be fine, and I will probably deal with this in my life as an ongoing thing.
Olivia Newton-John became a vocal breast cancer advocate after being diagnosed in 1992. Although she would be in the clear after 9 difficult months, this unfortunately wasn't the end. Her breast cancer returned in 2013, spreading to her shoulder, a development that she chose to keep private.
Why did you want to keep that away from the public eye?
Because of the speculation, which happened the third time. So I just decided I wanted to go through it myself.
In 2017, she revealed a third diagnosis, with the cancer spreading to her lower back. She remained strong and candid even as the cancer approached her bones, reaching stage 4.
It hasn't been easy, of course. I mean, I'm human and I go through fear and all the things everyone going through a cancer or any other difficult diagnosis. But it's a choice how you deal with it. So I try to always deal with it in a positive way.
In 2022, 30 years after her first diagnosis, Newton-John died at age 73. In her honor, AMC brought Grease back to theaters, with proceeds going to breast cancer research. Newton-John will not only continue to touch lives through her music and movies, but her Cancer Wellness and Research Center as well.
Give women inspiration, hopefully, to fight the fight.